Well, today I have to say that the show is going to have a political feel to it, but without taking any sides or trying to promote any kind of a point of view, there's just nothing we can do today that's not going to blend some politics into what's going on with Tesla, with Elon Musk, with the economy, with the stock market, with the stock, with the Tesla stock. So Larry, so is it okay if we talk a little politics today?
True that. I mean, it's really hard to duck that, what's going on in the country right now.
That's right. But
well, I hope we're talking to a worldwide audience.
Well, we might be, because I don't know if you know it, but yesterday I'm happy to announce that for the very first time after 19 months of doing this show, and I don't know, 1,500 videos, or I haven't looked recently. I finally have a viral video, Larry. I put up a video yesterday laying out the case that the shooter in the assassination attempt had to have been helped by some three-letter agency. There was no other way to figure it out. I tried every way I could to think how this kid got up in the morning and did what he did without knowing that there was a route he could take and a way that he could get there. And then all these people pointing at him up on the roof and nobody does anything. So I put that up, Larry, and almost to 100,000 views now. And the views are just growing. They're growing and growing. They're not slowing down. They're getting higher and higher.
Well, I don't want to dampen your view count. And I'm sure that what I'm going to say is just everybody's going to laugh it off. But I don't see any way this little kid, this fairly lost soul, could have engaged with any of the three-letter agencies. That's just how I see it. I think he was so clueless that he stumbled on the one route that would have made it work. But I could be wrong.
It would be like the old famous somehow assembling the clock from all the parts without anybody actually
not as far-fetched as that. But look, it's possible that one of these agencies were involved, but so unlikely. The downside for anybody doing this kind of thing is so horrific that I just don't see the figure. I don't see the value. I don't see the upside for anybody involved like this. I mean, yeah, a lot of people feel very strongly politically, about Trump. And I must say this event triggered a change of my views.
Oh.
So okay. You're obviously not reading my post, but I
have been reading everything that comes my way today, Larry. What did I miss?
Yeah, I posted that I'm going to probably vote for Trump in this election.
Oh my.
I've told you that I'm not happy with the man because he stiffs his vendors, his small vendors.
Right.
And that to me is a no-no. But the preponderance of evidence right now is that he's probably the right person for this country at this time. And while he will not unite the country, I think he will lead the country.
Well, there you go. Well, maybe I'll have you help me with a project I'm working on. I'm working on my reasons for my support, and which I'm going to do a series of these over the next few days. Maybe we could do that tangentially. That might be fun.
Well, I don't think you're going to find me an overzealous supporter of our proposed President Trump. But having said that, I think he is by far the better choice at this time than the gerontocracy we already have in the White House. Not that he's a young man.
Yeah, right.
By the way, I'm quite pleased about the J.D. Vance. My wife is not. I mean, she's very negative about appointing J.D. Vance as the vice president. But I don't know anything about him, but I did watch some videos of his of some of his questions in committee in the Senate. I was quite impressed, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I did read his resume, which is also quite impressive. So, on balance, it's an interesting pick by Trump. But I have to say,
I was probably a Vivek man myself, but JD seems like a straight up guy, and we'll talk about him just a little bit more in a couple of minutes on some specifics. So we on something that has nothing to do with politics, we had a change in timing actually for the robotaxi event. Turns out it was true. Bloomberg got it right for the wrong reasons. The change in design, apparently to the front end of the car, according to Elon. Then the stock declined a little bit after that post. Not sure if
I don't know if the two had, I don't think there were specific, cause and result. Look, the stock is not, I don't think it's settled to its price yet. I think earnings have to happen. We have to see the results. I am quite confident about a fairly good earnings report. I've posted my
We've talked
my
about
earnings already, and I'm very comfortable that we're going to have a good year, a good quarter, at least one that will, meet the analyst's expectation.
Right.
I'm very excited about the robotaxi event that's coming up. I think whether it happens in August or October, I'm pretty excited about it. But as you know, I'm looking to the middle of next year or the end of next year to see the actual operational implementation. As well as with FSD, I was very pleased to see that 12.5 is actually being tested right now, as we learned today from Elon, which I think is more important than all the other stuff put together.
Oh, interesting. So being tested it's been rolled out to
yeah. So
I missed that too. Holy mackerel, where was I?
Yeah, so 12.5. So Chuck, some of the beta testers see the Tesla test drivers out in action at like their sites. Chuck Cook with his famous unprotected left turn, they test new versions at that unprotected left turn. He noticed that happening. He posted that he noticed that happen, and Elon responded and said there's 12.5 being tested.
I see.
So we're only, less than 30 days away from 12.5 emerging. I'm testing right now 12.4.6, I think it is. It's really excellent, really excellent. Some people have pointed out that there are some, some issues with it. And I'm sure there's going to be with every release for the next couple of next few releases at the very least. What's interesting about 12.5 is that we may see that release or the 12.6 release include the full stack on highway driving as well.
Now he had mentioned 12.5 would have that full stack. I don't know.
Yeah, and it may do, but they may hold it back. Who knows? I mean, it's very hard to predict what your release is going to contain.
Sure.
Before the release is actually released.
Right.
So I tend to take everything with a little bit pinch of salt. So 12.5 may well include that. I must say that from my perspective, the improvement is palpable, release after release, because I've tracked my release as I've told you before. So I'm pretty excited about where we are, and I think we continue to see that improvement. And that's why all of this stuff about, we're at 250, we're at 260, we're 240, it's all noise to me. It's absolute noise to me. I think we're on the right track.
Yes. All right. Well, good. So now let's go back again. Now I'm trying not to be political, but recognize the political
element. But you're going to be political. All right. Go ahead.
Without taking a position, do you think the Trump White House is a benefit to Tesla on balance, as many?
Undoubtedly.
I see.
I mean, Trump and Elon have obviously reached a modus vivendi. Obviously, Elon has met with Trump. I know a lot of people don't find that that prospect very attractive, and there's no doubt that Tesla has lost sales because I mean, it's clear that temperaments. I mean, people are very passionate right now about these political issues, and so there's a lot of negative issues around it. But nevertheless, if you ask me about whether or not this is good for Tesla or not, look, JD Vance has been very opposed to the whole, what was the
The IRA, the
IRA.
right.
Yeah, he's been very opposed to IRA. Trump has been friendly to the IRA, and it's quite possible some of that will be reversed.
Right.
Elon has said he doesn't think the IRA is a good thing.
Right.
And frankly, the IRA is not a good thing for Tesla. It's negative for Tesla, in my judgment.
Right.
All it does is encourage, profitless vehicles onto the road.
Right.
The best test is the bitter test, and that is, can you make a EV that can compete head to head with a piston engine, with a gas
Car.
engine, ice car.
Mm-hmm.
And Tesla's right on the brink, right at the cusp of that capability. Very few other companies have even begun to reach that, and some of the Chinese are there. I mean, definitely, the top Chinese producers are definitely there. So it seems to me that the more competitive you make this, the tougher you make it, the better for everybody involved, and the sooner we'll get this thing done. I am convinced that Tesla will be there. I'm convinced Tesla will ace it. I believe Tesla will win in that head-to-head, in that absolute competition. So I'm not a great fan of the IRA. I know everybody's very excited about it, but if you look at Tesla's results, the IRA was not good for Tesla.
No, we didn't see a bump.
No,
No, we
no.
didn't. But on the other side of the IRA, of course, is the battery side of the IRA. And I have to admit that I have been more positive on that side of the IRA, even though I think it's overdone. I think it's way too much money. But I did think that batteries are strategic, that the United States needs to be in the battery business.
If they're strategic, then you don't give government money for them. You let them compete in the open market. And that competition in the open market would actually, accelerate the reduction in costs. So I'm not in favor of government intervention in these marketplaces. I think let them compete. That's my view. Now, the truth of the matter is China has been very supportive of their battery manufacturers, and that does throw a wrench into the works, and that does raise the issue of how you compete with that.
Right.
And so, that's an area that I would have to say. But look, we've cut the Chinese out by taxes, which doesn't mean that we can then compete in China. But we have a lot of work to do. We have to reinvent our industrial base. So long before we talk about tariffs, long before we talk about all of that, we really have to do that work. And the best way to do that work is to make people compete at in realistic numbers.
Larry, I always hate it when somebody's a bit better capitalist than I am. So another thing that's going on right now is the crypto markets are soaring. And while we don't necessarily spend a lot of time on the crypto markets on this channel, but they're going crazy today. And the claim is, of course, that that's because Trump says he's for crypto. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, those kinds of mini bubbles are nothing but mini bubbles. I mean, the fact that Trump may be in favor of crypto does not mean the crypto markets are going to take off. it means that there's, you know, a sudden spurt of buying, and then, you know, tomorrow there's another story. I mean, I think that a long-term investment in Bitcoin, and I exclude all the junk coins, I even exclude Ethereum.
Okay.
I think a long-term investment in Bitcoin is probably justified. I haven't had the courage of my conviction really in any major sense, but that's how I feel. I think I've told you the story about my nephew who's made so much money out of Bitcoin by accident. You know, but he's made a huge amount of money, and he's been, you know, extremely fortunate in that regard. Although for many years it looked as if he had been unfortunate because he got caught up in Mt. Gox.
Mm.
Thankfully, that locked up his Bitcoin in Mt. Gox's liquidation, its bankruptcy, until they finally paid them all out. And of course, Bitcoin went up by 1,000 times or 10,000 times. And so he's, you know, even though he's only got a third or 20% of his Bitcoin left, he's made so much money, it's incredible. So, but, you know, that the story, the lesson in that story is if you lock it away and you just forget about it and you stop looking at the price on a day-to-day basis, in 10 years' time, you're probably going to be a winner.
Right, right.
Difficult for people to do that kind of investment.
Okay, so then I'm finding that most channels, even like CNBC and stuff, and financial media, Barron's and others, are saying that the likely Trump victory is underlying the stock move today, and that Trump will be good for business because of low regulation and lower taxes. Is there more to it than this? Is that just lower taxes and lower regulation, or is that enough, or what do you think?
Well, you know, when Trump won won last time, I didn't say that to mean that he's going to win this time.
Right.
But when Trump beat Hillary, you know, I woke up in the morning. I was in 𝐓𝐞𝐬𝐥𝐚, a little seaside town outside of Tel Aviv. I woke up and I found a big crowd downstairs in the hotel lobby. I hadn't followed the election because I thought it was a done deal. And I found a whole big crowd in the lobby and said, "What's going on? You haven't heard? No, Trump won. Oh my God!" You know, I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. I was very bitterly disappointed because I thought he was bad for the country.
Right.
But he turned out to be extremely good for the country, and the market soared. I mean, soared beyond our wildest dreams. And it did very well. And it just showed you, you know, that, you know, free the economy, so-called free the economy, was good for the economy. So the question is, does he have the magic the second time? Firstly, will he win? We don't know, but
Sure.
You know, there's a general supposition in the light of this terrible weekend event that he probably is ahead. But, you know, we have 4 months to go. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 4 months? But should he win, does he pull it off the second time? Well, the market's at a very high level right now. Very high level.
Very high.
I don't see that it's got a way to run unless interest rates do drop dramatically. And if we listened this morning to you know, our governor, yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that we're going to see a significant reduction in interest rates over the next quarter.
So
And
what was it that he said that caused you to be thinking he was more dovish?
The focus has changed.
I see. Okay.
His focus has changed to you know, the upside opportunity versus the downside necessity.
I see.
That's just my sense of what he was speaking.
Yes.
So, you know, the bias of his conversation has moved. And so I think we're going to see an upside. Now, the question is, does that happen before the election? Does that happen after the election?
Yeah.
And anything he does now is going to impact after the election,
right.
not before the election. So could be Joe is just unlucky.
So you have been reading the Project 2025. I didn't know if you
Yeah.
had gotten any further. You said no, you haven't had a chance to go further.
No, it was my granddaughter's 14th birthday, and we just drank it all day. So
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't read Project 2025, and to be honest, I'm very focused on Tornado versus Tesla right now.
Right.
That is the court case that you know, we got the arguments
Right.
in the fee for the so-called winners of the last, you know,
Right. The
judgment.
plaintiff's attorneys. Yes.
Yeah, I think the attorneys, you know, they made a very strong case, and then I think the Tesla attorneys and the attorneys for the, you know, shareholders or Amy were very strong. My sense is that she will side with the against the company
Okay.
because that's just her bias. I
Right.
think she's a very strong bias. It's very evident, far too evident for her good and for her future. But I think it's going to be very, very, very difficult in the next stage, which is the argument about the revote.
Right.
And you know, they showed their colors, the attorneys for Tornado, they showed their colors. They called the revote a clown show. And I
Right.
posted about that today. I
Right.
don't know if you saw that.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Couldn't miss that one, Larry.
you
Big
couldn't
old
miss
picture of
that.
a clown.
I mean, people should read that because it indicates to me that they're somewhat desperate.
Yeah.
You know, when you start talking about your opposition's move
clown
as a
show.
clown show, when it is obviously a very serious vote by a very serious group of shareholders, including, you know, some of the largest institutions in the land,
Right.
it's not a clown show. It's something that has to be taken very seriously. And so that indicates to me that there's a very high likelihood that that vote is going to have to be taken into account, if not in this court,
Yeah.
then certainly on appeal. And it actually doesn't matter because the company can address, you know, the problem in Texas. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I mean, counsel for Tornado said, you know, and they're going to move to a state that doesn't even have a court, you know, to make these judgments. Well, I've got bad news for this council. That doesn't stop them moving.
No, no. No, they're yes.
And there are
it
many
doesn't
companies that have already made that move.
Right.
And they're making that move. And
Right.
that move is just a reality.
Yep.
It's no longer. So even if this court does go against them, and even if the Supreme Court, the appeals court does not find for them, which would be very strange to me, but you know, it's not beyond the possibility.
Right.
I really do think that they'll solve this problem in Texas, in the in the newly domesticated company, and I think this problem will be behind us. So it is somewhat of a storm in a teacup, but I think the simpler we make it, the sooner we solve it, the better for everybody, in particular Elon.
Right. 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 Okay. Now, on the purely economic side, the headlines today were filled with expectations of the broadening of the market into value and small cap, or even a rotation out of tech. And like you and I talked about the other day, I don't think we have enough days to even begin to talk about a trend. But there's no question that Russell is doing better. What do you think? Is it time for this rotation, or is it, even if it's not a rotation, is there potential for broadening? Or is this a bunch of opium going on?
I think it has to broaden. You know, we saw in Kathy's slides on Friday or Saturday, you know, there's always a return to the norm. And I think we're so out of whack with these, these Super 7 or whatever the name du jour is of the top 6 or Magnificent 6, Magnificent 7, or I mean, it is so out of whack that they are going to come down. I think the market will broaden in terms of the upside movement, particularly as interest rates do decline.
Uh-huh.
And so I think we're going to see the flattening of this immense, peak that we've reached in differential. It would be extraordinary if we don't see that.
I can't remember who I was watching or listening to the other day, but they were making the point, which is obviously true, that the declining interest rates will help the small caps more than it
Yes.
helps the large caps. Yeah, because these guys, the small caps have to borrow from banks. And so it's,
Yeah, I think the debt, the cost of debt for small caps in terms of the total balance sheet, and I should do the numbers, I should actually check that. I do have sources to check that, but the cost of debt in terms of total cost of doing business is significantly higher in the small caps than it is in the large caps. Although the large caps did, they did load up on debt
right.
in the last 10 years, although at pretty low costs.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, do you have anything else that's you're passionate about today before we look at the numbers, Larry?
Well, I did post today that I was going to support our
It's hard for you to say. I know it's hard to get.
our famous Mr. Donald Trump. I do that reluctantly. I haven't voted in an election for the last 2 elections.
Wow.
This will be the first time in 12 years that I will vote
Wow.
for president. But right now, I think I've made the decision to go ahead and vote for Trump, despite all my misgivings. Because I think my misgivings are partially based on some very bad information. And I reached a point that I think I've actually had a very parallel journey to the journey that Elon has had. Elon had a distaste in his first dealings with Trump. I've had a distaste of Trump for many, many years. But I think 2 things happened this weekend. The one is I realized that there's more to the man than we've seen. And the other is that a lot of what we've believed in the man is what we've read. And some of that is informed by the fact that, I've watched Jared and Trump's daughter, being interviewed in the long form,
Yes.
2-3 hours at a time. And I've learned that they're not the people that they were depicted in the press by a long chalk.
A long shot.
I mean,
Jared is delightful people. Ivanka and Jared, amazing people. Yeah.
But Jared in particular, when he talked about the Abraham Accords that he negotiated, you realize the depth of this man and his intellect and his modesty. I mean, he's not a Trump. He is a very modest. I mean, I wish he were the president of the United States, frankly.
Well, there's always a possibility downstream that could be true.
Yeah. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that when you compare the picture that's painted in the press and you compare that to him, it's like light years away. And then you read, Melania's letter, and everybody, when I posted that, everybody criticized me. They said she didn't write that. I said, yeah, it's the same way that Jared didn't negotiate the Abraham Accords, the same way that, Ivanka hasn't got, I don't believe a single thing, not a single thing I've read in the press about these people. Now I want to go to the source. I want to hear it from their lips, and I want to hear them say it, because that's all I'm interested in. And then finally, I was extremely impressed the way Trump handled what happened,
Right.
and it made me realize that he is not the person as depicted. Now, some of the depiction of him is his fault,
Yes.
but on the other hand, there's a lot more to the man than was depicted. And given all that I've seen of the other side,
Mhm.
I'm now ready to make for the first time in literally 12 years, I'm ready to vote.
There you go. All right. Well, what we're seeing in the after hours, Larry, is that
Yeah.
Tesla is up $2.16. So there you go. We got to close above 265, Larry. I know you don't care, but a lot of listeners do care. They have reasons to care. Maybe they're traders. Maybe they're just excited to be part of
My
the.
question for you is a broadening of the market good for Tesla or bad for Tesla?
Oh, the broadening of the market. Well, for Tesla, I don't think it matters. Tesla is kind of NVIDIA and Tesla to me right now are kind of in the same ballgame, but NVIDIA doesn't have the breadth of opportunity that Tesla does. So I'm worried a little more. I don't trade in NVIDIA, but as I watch the stock and try to pay attention to see what's going on with it, and I do pay attention to what Chamath and the other guys on the All In broadcast talk about, that there's at least some potential for their customers and or competitors to start having an impact on those sales, or at least the margins. And moreover, I keep asking, and people that I trust keep telling me that there's no limit to how many of these GPUs will be sold, but I think there's a limit. I think there's a point at which people will have enough compute. And so there's those two things that are kind of on my mind in terms of
It's
whether
not a question of having enough compute, it's a question of cost of compute.
cost of compute, yeah.
Cost of compute and cost of power for compute.
And maintaining it, yeah, maintaining it, yeah. Anyway, I see that, but I see with Tesla, they're unbounded. Their opportunity is unbounded on so many levels.
But there's a longer cycle for them. So
Yeah, I'm looking at 2 years.
NVIDIA is earning today,
yes.
and they're 2, 3, 5, and 10 years away,
Right.
depending on how you see them. Yeah,
Exactly.
fair enough. Yeah.
All right, good. Let's go ahead and take the rest of the market. Just for those who are paying attention, the Dow was up to 10, NASDAQ was up 74, S&P was up 15, and the Mag 7 were mostly down. Well, actually, it's, I guess about 50-50. But nothing huge in any particular direction on that. And the Cathie Woods also mixed 50-50. If we go in and take a look at the bonds, Larry, this is the interesting one here. This is so interesting right now. I don't know why I'm so interested in this inversion.
No, I mean,
it's a big
the
deal.
key to the next,
We are now down to 23 basis points, Larry.
Yeah.
So we've got the 10-year in the pre-market is down 1.2 basis points. We've got the 2-year down only 0.6 of a basis point. So now that's at 4.445, and the 10-year is at 4.215. So exactly 23. So where we were above 35 for the longest time, we're now down to 23.
Yeah, this is the rotation beginning. Yeah,
could easily be.
You take what you said about interest rates, take what you said about the general market. I mean, this could be the rotation in motion.
Okay. All right. We'll keep watching it every single day. We got the oil market down a little bit. Oil's the Texas Intermediate sitting around 82. Brent at 85. So, but down right now 0.12% in the pre-market. Natural gas up now a little bit, but really down. Natural gas came way down. It's just barely over $2 now. Any thoughts on the fossil fuels, Larry?
Not really. I mean, we're at the tail end of the winter demand. Everybody's got their inventory in control. I think, I think the economy's barreling along. It's not down, it's barreling along, and fossil fuels are not going up. So, we could be, in a very good transition right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
They've said that inventory has been down for 2 weeks in a row, but that has not impacted the price. It's
Right.
yeah. We've got gold sitting almost, I think it might be at an all-time high. I didn't look it up. It's at 2,428, so that's got to be very close, if not at all-time high. Silver, I know, is down from its all-time high, but still sitting almost at 31. And copper at $4.50, so that's right in the middle of its range. But gold and silver continue to be stellar.
Yeah.
Bitcoin, as mentioned, up 4,793, or almost 8.
Well, Germany stopped selling, right?
Huh?
So Germany has stopped selling. So the big dip, I
Oh.
think, was Germany liquidating their
Oh.
Bitcoin holdings.
Oh,
Germany had acquired an enormous amount of Bitcoin holdings from legal actions. They
I
had
see.
closed down a massive fraud operation. They had acquired huge quantities of Bitcoin.
Wow. Wow.
Held on to it for some years, and they've just liquidated it, which resulted in the price dipping dramatically.
I see.
So what we're seeing is that German sales have dried up, and so Bitcoin's back on its path.
Got it. Got it. All right. And then we have the dollar down a bit against the euro, up a bit against the Japanese yen. I haven't heard if there's been if the Japanese have jumped in again with any intervention yet or not. But right now it would appear that there's not a lot of
I wonder what the yen will be with the last Japanese man standing.
Okay, on the equities.
Have children, Japanese people. Have children.
Yeah, it's not working. That's Larry. Nothing anybody's doing over there is causing them to have children. The equities got the Dow up 57 or 0.14. We've got the S&P up 8 or 0.15 and NASDAQ up 50 or 0.24. No rotation there.
Well, I mean, who knows? Dow up is a good indication of a potential rotation.
Yeah, I was looking here at the Russell. Oh no, it's only up 0.29. Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. So,
well, we're still in the midst of the Trump trade, right? So
yeah, who knows what's going this week is going to be heavily influenced by that, although there are some reports coming out the next couple of days that might have some impact. In particular, on Thursday, I think it is, we get the futures, what do you call it, the in future indicators. I forget the name of it. It used to be the one everybody paid attention to, and now it seems to have gone away to the point that I can't even remember the name of it. The index of leading indicators, Larry. That used to be one
leading economic indicators.
Yeah, leading economic indicators. It used to be a big deal. Been down for like 20 of the last 22 months or something, and nobody's paying any attention to it anymore.
Right.
So, we get the beige book coming up later this week as well. Okay, Larry, that's pretty much all there is to talk about, except I'm going to put the card up here for that my viral video, because I want more people to watch it. What the heck, hit my first 100,000 viral video. So if you want to see it, there it is. There's the card.
Good for you, Randy.
Yeah, it's really been fun. And I'm going to also announce that Larry has agreed to be my next guinea pig with my Lex Friedman type interviews. So sometime this week, hopefully he and I will get a chance to sit down and learn everything that happened to him from the time that he was a wee Todd, a small child.
That was a very long time ago.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Randy.
To all of you out there, it has been great talking to you.